Hi everyone, thank you for being here today. My name is Laura and I am here to tell you my story of change. Now by the end, I hope to give you some techniques on how you can manage change in your life and in your career. Put your hand up if you have been at your company or a company for over a year. Keep it up if you've been there for 3. Keep it up for 5 and 10. Amazing. So those of you that have tenure at your company, I hope this story resonates with you. And those of you that don't have tenure, I hope I give you some tools that you can use as your company evolves. So, change is inevitable. It's going to happen. It's supposed to happen. So you need to welcome change, embrace it, and seek it too. This is me and my friend Jillian. We were headed out to cold call in New York City, door knock. People don't like when I call it cold calling. We were headed out to door knock in New York City. Jillian only walked out that door with me for 4 months before she decided sales was not for her. She went back to school, and I'm happy to say she's been a very successful registered nurse for the last 4.5 years. Me, on the other hand, I took a very different path. I've stayed at Vonage for the last 8 years. Now, although I've stayed at the same company, I've experienced a ton of change. But we have a saying at Vonage, change is good. Throughout this story, I'm gonna tell you all the changes that I chose, and I want you all to help me to tell me that they were good. So when I say change is, I want you all to say good. Let's start right now. Change is good. All right, so let's get into it. I'm going to take you back to 2015. I was sitting in front of the chief sales officer for iCore Networks. He looked at me and he said, "How are you going to deal with the pressure in this sales job?" I said, "Pressure makes diamonds." He goes, "Pressure also crushes diamonds." Sure enough, by the end of the conversation, I said, "So when do I start?" January 5th of 2015, I started as the first sales rep in New York City for iCore Networks. The mission was simple: 2-hour commute into the office, 8 a.m. meeting, 9 a.m. cold calls on the phone, 10 to 4 I was in the field knocking on doors and running meetings, 4 p.m. wrapping up my day, doing my proposals, to get back on a train, back on a bus, 2 hours home. I will let you all do the math on how much sleep I was getting at that time. Sure enough, change came. iCore was acquired in October of 2015 by Vonage. And I thought, this is great, an acquisition. Why is it great? Because change is good. That's right. So, the offices merged, iCore and Vonage. The iCore door knockers were met with Vonage salespeople who were allowed to work from home and certainly did not cold call. The women of Vonage, they were wearing Louboutins. I was wearing boots from Forever 21 with holes in them. No exaggeration. So at that point, I was offered a role in management, and I took it. Why? Because change is good. That's right. So I took the role in management. That was a ton of fun. But a few years later, I was offered a role in New Jersey. Same role, different market. I thought, no more subways or smelly New York City streets. Sign me up, because change is good. That's right. I managed that team in New Jersey for a few years before they decided to consolidate it into New York City and Philadelphia. I became a free agent at iCore or Vonage, and I had to decide what my next role was going to be. At the time, I had a fabulous channel manager who made working with partners look easy. So I said, hey, change is good. And I moved into a channel manager individual contributor role. 10 months later, I get a call from my big boss, and he says, Cologne, I need you in Southern California. He offered me other roles in other markets that I wasn't interested in before, but this time he was serious, and I thought, sunny Southern California? I'll do it, because change is good. So I moved in January of 2020 with my 2 cats to Southern California. You're probably laughing because you know what happened in March. But we're going to scoot right past that. I supported the team in Southern California for some time, and then I eventually was given the entire West. And I thought, this is great because change is good. And I got more territory. Who doesn't like more territory? Now, I've made all of this change sound, I'm sure, really easy. It wasn't. I mean, at the end of the day, Vonage had done 10 acquisitions in 9 years. And through all these acquisitions, there was new products, new stories, new sales decks, new people, new processes, ROE changes, territory changes. With every change, I had to come up with a positive narrative for my team, and I had to believe it. And sure enough, I did. The latest change, Vonage was acquired by Ericsson this year for $6.2 billion. So, why do I tell you all this? Realization. Realize that change is inevitable in any organization and it's required. No change, no growth. It starts with your attitude of change. Your perception of the change will make or break your will to continue at your company. And if you aren't learning, you aren't growing, and guess what? Growth is your responsibility. No matter the tools and resources you're given, it's up to you to make it happen. Staying or leaving should be your decision. People are always wanting to give you advice, right? It's up to you to decide if it's good for you to stay or to leave your company. Don't let somebody make that choice for you, because what's good for you may not be good for other people. My friend who is a nurse, I give her all the credit in the world. I could never do that, and she says the same about me. If you think you're going to fail, you are. Success and failure are a mindset, and so choose success every day. Now, if you are struggling with change, here are some techniques you can use to manage through it. Define your mission and purpose. LB talked about her mission today, this morning. Figure out what yours is. It'll help it make it a lot easier to get up in the morning. Choose hope over fear. Think about the possibilities of the change. Don't think about what the worst outcome could be. Imagine the impossible. A 4-minute mile was impossible until one person did it, and now thousands have done it since. So think about what's impossible and strive for that. Find your intrinsic motivation. What's in it for you? Why do you go to work? What are you trying to accomplish for yourself? Take mental breaks, don't burn out. This one's self-explanatory and very hard to do, but burning out is the best way to go negative. Identify the challenges that you can overcome, because if you focus on the many that you can't overcome, you will drive yourself crazy. Learn to adapt. Your company is a moving train, and you're either going to get on it or get off. But if you are in, be all in. Don't put one foot out the door. Until the day that you leave that company, you work hard, because it's a small world and you don't want a perception that you're not a hard worker. And the last thing is, support your employees. They are struggling with change just as much as anybody struggles with change. So you need to project hope, passion, and grit so that they get the mission done for you every single day, and for themselves, I should say. Thank you all for the time today, and remember, change is good.